Hypocritical France. French attitude in the Eastern Mediterranean contradicts the French own thesis. France, which went to the International Arbitration Court and won the case, arguing that the British Islands in the English Channel cannot be a continental shelf like the mainland, contradicts itself by claiming otherwise in the Eastern Mediterranean. France, the biggest supporter of Greece in the Eastern Mediterranean, surprises with its attitude towards the continental shelf of the islands. A dispute between Greece and Turkey is similar to the one that France and Britain in the 1970s, known as the Channel Islands, close to France, but he maintained that there was more than 3 miles of the continental shelf of the islands belonging to England. Hypocritical France. His attitude in the Eastern Mediterranean contradicts his own theses. British Islands on the French coast. Jersey, Guernsey, Alderney, Sark, Herm and Jethou Islands and the Channel Islands with a population of approximately 170,000, consisting of some cliffs, have been under the control of England since 1066. The distance between the islands, the closest of which is 87 miles from England, and France is as low as 8 miles in Alderney. The problem of the continental shelf of the islands, which brought France and England against each other due to the oil deposits in the region, could only be resolved in court. Hypocritical France. His attitude in the Eastern Mediterranean contradicts his own theses. Claims of the parties. In the court, Britain argued that the size of the islands does not matter, as Greece does today, and that the sea border with France should be determined by taking this into account. Hypocritical France. His attitude in the Eastern Mediterranean contradicts his own theses. France, on the other hand, stated that Britain's demand for equidistant borders based on the islands would reduce the French continental shelf in favor of Britain, and that this claim was completely disproportionate to the size of the islands and the length of their coasts. Defending that the equidistant border would divide its continental shelf into 2 separate regions, France suggested that the borders of the Channel Islands, territorial waters and the continental shelf should be determined as 6 miles, 3 miles each. Hypocritical France. His attitude in the Eastern Mediterranean contradicts his own theses. The continental shore of the islands is limited to 12 nationalities. Announcing its decision on June 30, 1977, the court ruled mostly in favor of France. Deciding that the line between the 2 sides should be drawn from the middle of the English Channel from the mainland, the court restricted the continental shelf of the Channel Islands to 12 miles. The court thus concluded that the islands would not be a continental shelf larger than 12 miles, while France was also able to maintain its continental shelf. Today France is struggling with itself. Mace Island 2 kilometers away from Turkey, but Greece 582 kilometers away. Hypocritical France. His attitude in the Eastern Mediterranean contradicts his own theses.